Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sim Racing Alliance. We are here with Season 10 and Round 1.
Boogity, let's go racing as the green flag jumps.
Looking maybe even full wide.
You're fanning out, there's a bit of contact. He's got the outside.
Side, that's a great move.
He's got plenty of speed in there and he's being held up.
He's gonna have a better run. Yeah, it's gonna stick it on the outside.
Well, that's a late move. 296 Ferrari, though, finds a space.
Oh, he didn't have it.
We're on the way for SRA.
Welcome, motorsports fans. One final time, we're here with the Sim Racing Alliance. Season 11 is rounding out tonight. It's Division 1 and Round 8 here at a legendary circuit. I'm Andrew Reif, joined by Selena Boonstra, and we are rounding out the American portion of the season with one last hurrah. It's Watkins Glen, 3.45 miles and 11 turns, counting out the bus stop. And Alexa couldn't be with us tonight, Selena, but I have to say, I am quite looking forward to this one. A title fight for the championship and the team championship alike.
Yes, when I look at this track, I just think, oh, man, what an opportunity to go there in person. I know I've mentioned it before, but this track, I look at the length and all I can think of the amount of walking you do there, but it is very well worth it because this track is just amazing and the best, like one of the best American tracks actually, because the boot, starting right from turn 6, the chute, you go down into the toe, turn 7, down into the heel, turn 8, and up into turn 9, and going to turn 10, which is an interesting corner for me personally as well, because you cannot go too wide, because that's track limits. And in person, it's something, and sim racing, it's also something, watching that and feeling the absolute impact of track limits there from the real drivers. But also, another really good corner is the bus stop, which in real life, it is now different on entry, but we'll take into consideration that this is a really good layout for the bus stop. But the bus stop, very good corner, and then also the outer loop, which is also a very fun corner as well, but very tough on the tires, I find, especially if it's a very hot track. So yeah, also turn 1, I'm going all over the place here, but turn 1 is also a very good corner as well, and it's got pretty well fairly good overtaking opportunities and going into the S's as well. Very fun corner, high speed, and if you are right behind someone, unfortunate because you're in an awkward position and there's not really anywhere to overtake on that corner, but nonetheless, it's very fun, and I am looking forward to tonight at this legendary track.
Yeah, indeed.
What are you thinking, Andrew?
We'll take a quick look here at the driver standings. We have two big stories to talk about. Firstly, Mia Rose in the lead, 601 points, followed by Mr. Sir, 557 to his name. Now, critically, Mia does have a drop race safety net for tonight. So if she places lower than a certain position, which I believe that position is 10th place, she will automatically gain 60 points from her worst finish earlier on in the season. So that drop race is being accounted for in this representation. So if she finishes 10th or higher, 9th or higher, then those points from tonight will be added onto her total. So she at least has 661 at the end. That means that Mr. Sir has to win the race in order to take the win here and hope that Mia has a bit of a nightmarish time. And if Mia does finish in 8th place, he still can win, but he needs to take the triple crown for tonight. That's pole position, the race win, and the fastest lap of the race. So Mr. Sir has it everything to play for here tonight. And the second story, Guy Manperson in a similar situation to Mia right now for the Silver Championship, sitting down in 10th place, 346 points, but a guarantee 39 from his other worst finish this season. So assuming that he has a similar or better performance, those points will be added in the 39 dropped. However, if he does end up having a worse finish than I believe that's 18th place, then he automatically gains 39 points. And Andrew Wilson is 80 points behind what Guy Manperson's total will be in the event that Guy Manperson has to fall back on that 39-point drop race. So Andrew Wilson, in that scenario where Guy Manperson finishes 18th or lower, or DNFs or anything like that, will have to finish in 5th place with either pole position or the fastest lap of the race, or 4th or higher. It's tough. It's long odds, but it is definitely doable. So that's our big two stories for the night. Couple of more podium positions also up for the grabs. Nate Specht is shortly behind Jeremy Mercer. Travis Nordstrom also kind of looking at that one, but we haven't done the math on those drop races. We'll take a quick look here at page 2 of the driver's standings to give you a little bit of an idea. I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to pause your screens and take a look at that one, because we have to go to the team standings. The drivers are already starting on their outlaps for qualifying, and in fact, I think I'm actually missing a little bit of the show right now, so I'll be quick. Team series, you can see the top 3 super close. 956 points for Macaroni and Steves with Jeremy Mercer, Peter O'Brien, Jeff Spangler, Mia Rose. 926 points for We're a Barbie team, and 925 for Michael Menning and Mr. Sir. We'll get into the race scenes here in just a moment as qualifying is underway. And Selena, it's gonna be a show tonight.
Oh, it will. Like, just seeing the difference between Mr. Sir and Mia Rose is it's gonna be crazy, because those two will butt heads, and I know they will tonight, because it's gonna be a big fight between those two top drivers in this division, and I am very much here for it.
And I mean, speaking on the big story that we had, it was Andrew Wilson fighting against Guy Manperson for the Silver Championship. Both of whom are out on track right now, and if my hot lap leaderboard brain is working right now, Guy Manperson set a relatively blistering 1 minute 43.7 in the BMW M4 GT3. Talking about that, I believe those were under the similar conditions that we see right now out on track. It's fast and 17 degrees Celsius, but don't be fooled. That's not where the drivers want to see it, as Andrew Wilson does go provisionally to the top here with a 44.2. But if we get that tick over to optimum during silver qualifying, that could shake things up immensely.
Yeah, and even just looking like on how far Guy Manperson has come from like D2 as well, from what I can remember, like to see him even competing, like even looking at the leaderboards of the overall championship, like he is pretty well up there with the aliens. So that is insane to see him in the silver class of Division 1, and he's been doing very well this season. And I cannot remember for the life of me what he finished last week, but I know I think he finished. Do you remember, Andrew, where he finished
last week? I'm sure we could pull it up if we so desired. I'm just going to take a look here though at the first couple of laps that come down the table. Actually, the worst one out of all being Austin Carpenter with a 145.2. I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that was probably due to a little bit of an error, but a 145.2 is still in the upper bounds of what you would expect to see out of a bit of a slower driver. I'm going to take a quick look here and see where exactly it was that Guy Manperson did finish last week, and indeed it was 9th at Circuit of the Americas in the wet. So a top quality finish for Guy.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, you know, a lot of drivers consider that he is probably one of the better drivers out on circuit, certainly the best to be named silver for whatever reason. We're getting our second round of laps starting on the timing table just now with about a 0.4 improvement. This is Andrew Wilson going to come over the line and be the first to breach the 143 barrels, almost shut up there by Colin Dunham, who was only a couple hundredths shy of doing, or a couple of thousandths shy of doing that exact same thing. Luis Daniel Velez will join Andrew Wilson near the top.
Yeah, the times are starting to go into the 43s now, so which for D1, yep, it's expected, but once the golds come out, I'm very curious to to see if there's going to be any 42s, which I think there will be because this is Division 1, as we all know.
Well, looking down the list here, Menning has had a habit of being a little bit inconsistent with his attendance so far this season, and as I mentioned on the last race, it's understandable. You know, he's got other things to focus on in terms of racing, but he indeed is in the server tonight trying to fight for that team championship alongside Mr. Sir. This is Brooker Quick coming across the line. That was a reasonable improvement up to a 1:44.1. Andrew Wilson's actually improving again on their time. Coming up towards the heel right now. Big braking zone, just a little bit past the 200 board right here. Trail brake into the apex and try to get that power delivery down as early as you can. It's a little bit slidey on the exit. Selena, like we were talking about, big story. If we take over to Optimal on this track, the grip will improve exponentially. That's going to be at least worth a fair few tenths in some of the big traction zones, especially in Sector 3.
Oh yeah, 100%, and the Golds will get that advantage too. So I will be, as I mentioned earlier, like expecting those lower times to come down, just because the track at this point will be not at this point, but very soon will be rubbered in. So yeah, I do expect those times to come down for when the Golds get out.
So now the bar has been lowered yet again. Velez actually taking provisional pole here for the Silvers. Guy Manperson trying to respond. It's not looking like it's quite enough. With 2 minutes and 39 left to go in the Silver qualifying, they're going to have 2 more chances to try to get the move done. Danny Durant's having a relatively leisurely time right now through the S's, but up 2.6 tenths in just the first couple of turns alone. If they can keep that through the bus stop, they should be able to confer this into a fair advantage on their qualifying lap time. But Selena, something that we talked about briefly before we even started the broadcast is the fact that this is a bit of a fickle track for a driver, specifically because of how difficult it seems to be to take turn 1 consistently when you get right out of the gate. You know, there's lots of tracks where you can get out on the outlap, and as soon as you go for your first flyer, you just nail it. This is not one of those tracks.
Oh yeah, for sure, because you got that inside curve you need to worry about. And if you take it entirely wrong, your car, well, at least in the Porsche, your car will just clip and it'll be unstable and you're gonna lose a bunch of time. And then you have the S's to worry about, so there's more fast corners and it's not that helpful, and you must get turn 1, because if you don't, that whole part of Sector 1 you'll just be losing time because of turn 1. So like, just you gotta really be very careful when you get on entry and make sure you don't slam on the inside curb, or else your car is just going to be entirely unstable and clip that curb, and you definitely don't want that at turn 1.
We followed Danny Durant for a fair bit of that lap there. We saw the advantage that he gained in turn 1, and it looks like he turned that into a little bit more than just a 2.6 tenth advantage. He managed to convert that into a 1:43.585, just ahead of Colin Dunham here, who is improving right now. And the drivers at this point, more likely than not to be on their last qualifying laps for the Silvers. I believe Brooker Quick is going to be the last one across the line, if indeed he does make it. He's making his way up through turn 9 towards turn 10 right about now, and the improvements are not coming very thick and fast right now. Guy Manperson is currently on an invalid lap, a 1:44.0 for Guy Manperson, and he does indeed return to the pit lane in P9 for the Silvers. That is not the time that you wanted to see if you're a fan. It looks like Colin Dunham has bailed out of their lap. Andrew Wilson is still improving, only up by 0.13 seconds, but with such fine margins, this could be good enough for a couple of key positions here near the top.
Looking at Landon Draves, he is up by 0.6, just gaining a lot of time through the toe. Into Sector 3 he goes, and his last lap was a 1:49.3, but his best is a 1:44.3, so by this time he should be definitely, like, probably in the mid 43s at this point, and the track is still currently fast, so the grip is still not up to par at the very moment. But Landon Draves coming into turn 10, swinging it right into turn 11. Careful of the throttle going out on exit.
Ooh. Oh, he's out of fuel.
A little bit of time there. A little bit of time. Oh, he lost a lot of time. Oh.
He ran out of fuel.
And, oh,
you could
no.
hear the engine rev down just before the line. It was such a big improvement. I was wondering, he stayed in the higher gear through turn 10, and I was thinking to myself, like, that seems odd. Usually I would downshift there, but, you know, maybe there's something that I don't know. Carrying the speed, and of course the Porsche can be a little bit tentative about the traction, and I think the lap before you mentioned was a very slow one, as Brooker Quigg is going to be the last of the Silvers across the line with a marginal improvement. Ooh, that was valid, actually. Stays white on the race control, not quite going into the red through T-last, and does pick up about a 10th of improvement, which might be good enough for one position here, and they will surpass Bailey Kish. But Selena, oh my goodness. That is devastating for Drevis.
It's so devastation because, like, he was like 6/10 up, and I looked on the Delta, and like he was losing it rapidly. I'm like, oh no, don't tell me he lost all that fuel. And yeah, that is so devastating when you're on a green Delta, big banker lap, and you just run out of fuel. Yeah. But there's the race. There's a race. Anything can happen. We're at the track where we say, let's go bowling. So anything can literally happen at this track, as we've seen from, if you know, you know, season 7, I think it was, for the wet Watkins Glen.
Season 8, I think we saw it posted in the chat earlier. Oh man.
Yeah, in season 8. Oh yeah, wait. Oh, season 8 was in the night.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say, wait, if you're talking about a wet race, I think that's completely different. We had two infamous Watkins Glen races. Oh no.
Oh man, that was awesome actually. Like in the Watkins Glen. Gotta love it.
Watkins
Glen. This track is a fun track.
Talking briefly about what we saw for the overview of that qualifying, though, we did miss Andrew Wilson setting a 1:43.59, an identical time to Colin Dunham, and matching that P2 sitter at present. But as you also mentioned, Selena, the track did not ever tick over to optimum just yet. So as the Golds are beginning their first qualifying laps, we'll see the timing sheet begin to update here. I've been following Mr. Sir around the circuit here for a fair bit through turn 9 now. But for Guy Manperson, not a very good qualifying session. I think it must be said, a 1:44 flat is it's a low benchmark for him. But the silver pole time at a 1:43.585 and being contested, no less, on a fast track, that's an impressive bar to set for them as a class. Mr. Sir will take the class of the field for the Golds, presently speaking, just ahead of Travis Nordstrom.
I don't think, so far, the drivers are still, and Escorcia, he's currently half a second, actually
half a second up on no more. Delta.
Actually, as I was just looking at him, he, just totally bent it out on the, exit of the bus stop, and he return to pits.
Let's get that back on the main screen. Oh yeah, I missed that second. Oh goodness, missed the apex curb, and then it was right on the exit.
Ugh. You hate to see that.
Hey, well, frankly, you know, better now than later. If we do get that critical turnover point, as we were talking about earlier, as Mia Rose does go to the top of the goal to the 1:43.6, I might add, and looking like she's improving through the early stages of Sector 1, so we'll keep an eye on that. Travis Nordstrom, though, on a massive improvement in the Honda NSX GT3 EVA for Crazy Rabbits Racing. But as I was saying, the track just now actually taking over to optimum, unless it has been for a minute or so, and I just completely missed it. So the next flying laps to come around should probably be class of the field.
Yeah, this is where now the drivers are going to finally get all that grip after, like, I think some of the golds, like, have been out for, like, well, all the golds have been, like, the majority, 10 minutes. So, yeah, like, about 3 or 4 minutes or so, like, in a fast track still. But now it's optimum, so They gotta really push on this one to get a very good lap in, a grippy lap, I should say, because finally optimum.
For Andrew Wilson, you know, he's gonna be watching this, and having a bit of a fickle track condition for qualifying certainly is not helping his case for the silver championship. At least Mr. Sir, in his bid to oust Mia Rose as the Division 1 champion for Season 11, is going to be able to compete on, you know, like-for-like conditions. That was well wide there from Jeff Spangler, but it stays valid. I really got to learn how to play with the track limits there on the exit of Turn 9. Or, excuse me, that's the exit of Turn 10. Because Jeff Spangler was able to find some time and moves up to P4.
Turn 10. You know, turn 10 is probably, I'd say, one of the most difficult parts of the track, just because of the way you go in and then you are trying to, like, not, like, try to avoid not going too far out with all the speed that you've carried into the entry, because if you go really far out, that's not going to be a valid lap at all, and it's quite tricky to keep it in between that part of the track. And even watching it during the 6 hours at the Glen, it's like I see some of the drivers like go sometimes a little too wide over that corner, but it's a really fun corner. I find it's a gem, that's for sure.
Ooh, and Mr. Sir, I think, is probably going to agree with you, as he's about to set the provisional pole time by a fair margin. That's a 1 minute 43.145 for Mr. Sir. What an effort.
Wow. What a lap.
Michael Menning still hasn't set a valid one, so we'll get on board with him. As the number 1 car comes through turn 9, just getting out of the boot here. And with no reference to go by, we're essentially just waiting to see what happens as he crosses the line. Not necessarily maximizing the track as much as we might have expected right there, but he did stay in the pits for the early part of the gold qualifying session. He'll cross the beam momentarily, and this looks like it's not going to necessarily be his favorite lap, but it's good enough for pole nonetheless. I'm expecting improvements out of this driver, and he's already up to the top.
Oh yeah, that was 143.1 by Michael Menning, and Mr. Sir has made a 143.1, so they are extremely close, just by 200. So that's gonna be quite the headbutting on the race.
That does beg the question. I know we saw a little bit of a drama in the same vein in the Formula One world recently, but in the event that Michael Menning takes the race start and ends up leading from Mr. Sir, who stays in P2, that would be a bit of a recollection back to the beginning of the season, I might add. But if Menning does indeed have the race lead near the end, and he knows that Mr. Sir needs to win the race in order to take the Drivers' Championship, I wonder if Menning will pull over to let their teammate pass. This is Dan Cran about to start their final qualifying lap, and I don't think there's much more to be said about the end of this one, because that tour of the circuit was not much faster than their last. I'll hop on board with Mia Rose about halfway through, entering the toe right now. Very challenging corner to get correctly, as I was talking about. This is one of the tricky traction zones on the circuit. It looked like she actually lost a little bit of time, but still on for a marginal improvement, but emphasis on marginal, 1/10 right now.
Yeah, the toe is also one of those tricky corners, because I know once the tire deck starts kicking in, it is brutal, especially like with the Porsche tires. It's like you really gotta make sure you're going wide on the entry, and then don't curving right in onto the apex. But like with high deck tires, oof, it's really tough. But again, it's another corner that I find really fun though, despite it being really bitey.
Oh my god. Menning just posted a 142.892. That tops the hot lap leaderboard on the seasonal charts. So no surprises there. I don't think Travis Nordstrom is going to see if he can find a response. He might actually unseat Mr. Sir. Mr. Sir, who's on a very marginal improvement, but it might be enough, because he's going to need a response here to Travis Nordstrom if he can keep this delta in the green at this point in time. Maybe losing a little bit there through turn 11 on trying just to hold the speed, and he won't quite do it. Mr. Sir stays safe from Travis Nordstrom, but Omar Escorcia, who crashed out early in the qualifying, is a little bit offset upset from the remainder of the field, up by about a tenth right now on a 143.2, so there's still a very real possibility that he might be able to upset the balance here for P1 and P2.
And he's just currently a tenth up from his personal best with a 143.2, so hopefully he keeps it in check. He's hanging on by a thread with going into 210s. Oh, and actually speaking of Sector 3 up to turn 9. Onto the little tiny straight and flying right into turn 10. There's that curb that you really got to be careful and not go too wide. Into turn 11. Be careful, don't go into the wall.
He lost some time.
Lost so much time. Oh no.
It was an improvement on time, but not on position.
Oh.
He had the 10th that he needed. It was a 143.21 benchmark. Up by a 10th would put him in P2, and he lost half of a 10th in turn 11.
It's all it takes. It's all it takes. Just even one whole 10th. And you could gain one position from that. And it is so... And the stakes get so much higher when you're in P4 fighting for P3. But there is a race. It is not over. We have a race. And actually, Mia Rose in P5 in front of her teammate Jeff Spangler in P6.
Which bodes very well for them. In terms of the team standings. Jeremy Mercer and Peter O'Brien are next to each other in P11 and P10 respectively, so that's not necessarily great for them. Michael Menning and Mr. Sir. This is actually reverse order now, because we have Jeremy Mercer and Peter O'Brien who lead the team standings. I'm going to pull that up on screen, actually really fast, so you can see this. Jeremy Mercer and Peter O'Brien, like I said, P11 and P10 respectively, they lead the team championship. Jeff Spangler and Mia Rose in P6 and P5 respectively, in P2 in the team standings, and then Michael Menning on pole position beside Mr. Sir on the front row are in third place for the team standings. And I honestly have to say, they are by far my favorites to take the team championship right now, because Michael Menning showed unreal pace, as he always does in qualifying, and I have full faith in his ability to convert that into a win.
Oh yeah, 100%. If you see that crazy time on pole, like even going back to Barcelona, like that was crazy. I remember like seeing his pole time back at the but ludicrous stuff from Barcelona. Ludicrous.
Menning was always crazy. Mia Rose though, she's going to be I'm not necessarily safe, I'll say satisfied with this qualifying, but lined up to finish in that critical P7 or higher guaranteed win area. And because Mr. Sir did not take pole position, something I forgot to mention, cannot take the Triple Crown, and therefore is not able to beat Mia Rose in the Drivers' Championship if Mia finishes in 8th place. So that increases the threshold for Mia to take the Division 1 Drivers' Championship by just that little bit of extra breathing room. However, Mr. Sir is not going to necessarily count himself out, because starting in P5, Mia Rose has historically moved up the field on race starts, but it is not at all impossible that we see a little bit of RG-Pargy going into turn 1, as the signage says at the end of the beginning of the straight. It says "Go bowling" way down there at the end. I know I can't quite get that image of it, unfortunately, but
yep, let's go bowling.
Let's go bowling, as they say. I mentioned to Jason Allen I wanted to see something about that in the driver's briefing. You can see a little bit of side-by-side here from Menning and Mr. Sir. These guys, while they might be competitors on track in one regard, they are definitely the best of teammates.
That is for sure.
While we're on the outlap here, Selena, while we're on the outlap, I do want to take a moment, actually, to give a thank you to our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at the Sim Racing Alliance, as well as support from Documise, a modern business solution for product management. You can go to documise.com to learn more today. Support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And while we're talking about it, we're talking about setups, we're talking about the race. I want to give a shout out to Go Setups. They provided me with my best time for sure. Premium esports setups for everyone. You can use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level.
And if I may add, Go setups are very good setups.
The best.
Yes, I use them, and I mean, I'm a whole different breed because controller. But but they do work. I have to do, obviously, it's a lot of tweaking, but they are like, Go setups are really nice. Like it's a solid setup.
At the risk of sounding insensitive, Go Setups, they're so good even a controller driver can use them.
Exactly. Hey, see, anybody can use it.
Anybody can use it. No, but they unless you've got a super alien making setups for you, they are far and away some of the best ones that we have. While we're on the subject, though, you know, rest of our affiliates, of course, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. You can use code SRATE at checkout to support us. AT3D Sim Shop. Upgrade your sim racing experience with premium 3D printed accessories featuring precision crafted magnetic shifters, sleek cable management solutions, versatile stream deck mounts, and immersive dashboard displays. Their innovative designs enhance performance and style. Elevate every lap with top tier quality and craftsmanship at at3d.net. And lastly, before we get through the boot here, Castle and Cauldron, a home-based crafting business specializing in handmade Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, and Fairy World collectibles, magic wands, potions, mini dioramas, wall decor, costumery, cosplay, and much more. Castle and Cauldron is where crafting meets the magical. Visit facebook.com/Castle Cauldron.
I'm looking at the chat, and Jess says, "Go, Ted, am I right?" That's sneaky. Oh, that's great.
And here we go. Double file, Selena. I know we've been excited for this one.
Oh, yeah, let's go. Watkins Glen.
The title fight decided here today. Mr. Sir starting on the front row against teammate Michael Menning, looking to take a dub in the championship from Mia Rose, who only has to finish 8th or higher as they advance now down the timing line. Similarly, Andrew Wilson needs a very, very high finish today. We'll keep an eye on that one, but it's likely not the story we're going to be following for today. It's Michael Menning leading the field out on pole position as we go racing at Watkins Glen International for the final time in Division 1. It's a good launch from Travis Nordstrom just behind Mia Rose, catching a little bit of that slipstream contact. Mr. Sir bundled wide at turn 1 is going to open the door for Rose to move up the field into P2 immediately past Travis Nordstrom.
And now Michael Menning now has that breathing room because of that contact between Travis Nordstrom and Mr. Sir. So that is not good on Mr. Sir's end unless he has the pace and
oh my goodness,
still keeping it up. But it is the start of the race. There's still, he has time. He just needs to keep his pace all calm and collected. Even though he lost lap positions, but hey, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. He should be fine.
And we almost saw a 3 or 4 wide through the bus stop there at the start. I don't know if you had eyes on that one, Selena, but I sure caught it. And oh my goodness, that looked like it was going to be a devastating end, but they managed to make it work. So some movement throughout the field as we get underway with the race proper. Mr. Sir.
Archie Barge between Jeremy Mercer and Timothy Flamger. Having a little bit of an argy-bargy moment, but all things are well for the time being.
Backwards.
Oh, Eric Marecki!
I'm trying to catch him as he goes down the order. Oh no!
I don't even know what happened there, but he's just chilling. He's I mean, probably not actually chilling.
Oh.
Alley.
That was Mr. Sir up the inside of Marecki through, I believe that was turn 8, just coming out of the boots. So, Mr. Sir, I don't necessarily want to speak for the stewards, but that looks like it might be a penalty coming his way, which is going to put a damper on his race immediately.
That is very devastating, trying to fight for that championship win. And at the very moment, Mia Rose in P2, a whole second behind Michael Menning, with Travis Nordstrom only nearly a second behind her, followed by Jeff Spangler. Not too far behind either, just by 0.4. So things are kind of spread out a little bit between the top 5, I'd say. But looking at Jeff Spangler and Travis Nordstrom trying to duke it out into the chute, but quite close. 0.3 behind, but yeah, but looking, Michael Menning just has all that breathing room, but we are definitely not surprised at all, knowing Michael Menning.
No. Mia Rose, a huge gainer there on the first lap. I mentioned it before the race started, but she has historically had a lot of forward progress in the early stages of the races here in Division 1 so far this season, and that has not changed here for the final round. Looks like a little bit of argy-bargy going on here. That's Patrick Rust going side by side with Luis Daniel Velez, and now with Colin Dunham to contend with through turn 9. It looks like the 81 is going to stay ahead of at least one car for now, but there's a huge pack of cars here in the midfield as they continue to go side by side with each other. Now, Colin Dunham actually losing position. That's the outside line for Brooker Quigg making their way through, and Kai Manperson's having a sniff up now with the BMW. This is a lousy situation for Wilson to be in, as now immediate championship rival Guy Manperson is there, and Landon Drevis is up behind. Yeah,
and 2x2 with Jason Allen, Bailey Kish. Bailey Kish sticking right in front of his teammate Jason Allen for a moment there into turn 1. But yeah, Andrew, that was spicy there through turn 9 and beyond that. Holy, and Draby's like right behind Guy Manperson, just nearly not sticking his nose out, but he was like right behind that BMW. Crazy stuff.
Wonderful scenes going side by side. Peter O'Brien and Dan Curran through the bus stop chicane and then the outer loop to boot. And speaking of, they're going to the boot now, still side by side through the chute as well. Dan Cran and Peter O'Brien, neither wants to concede space. It looks like, a bit of a moment there for Dan Cran, loses control of the car. And that's going to be a load of positions lost there for Cran, who tried to keep it in, but losing out on the racing line means losing out on a lot of grip and a lot of positions on track.
Yeah, that is not a good situation to be in right there for that poor McLaren.
Oh, this has got to be politically motivated. Mr. Sir and Jeff Spangler having a bit of a go at it there on the exit of the boot.
Yeah.
This train in the midfield though, this is spicy. I love this. We were talking about a championship fight before we started here, but it feels like all the action is happening further down the field.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, it is the finale, so it's all or nothing with everybody here, and everyone wants to get. Oh, and actually, turn 1 is quite. It was spicy for a second, with Dan Cran, Max Simmons, Guy Manperson, and Landon Drebies. Well, I wouldn't say leading that train because Andrew Wilson is in front of Drebies, but Guy Manperson trying to take the slipstream. Right, literally pretty well touching, but backs out onto the engine. Landon Drebies taking a little wiggle tour for a second. Nearly losing it, but great save in that white and blue flame Porsche. Keeping it steady. That was intense for a second, but all things are well.
You say all's well, but really, like my brain is all over the place. Looking at my race control, many of the gaps are less than a second. In fact, the majority of drivers are within a second of the car in front of them. Still 7 minutes into the race, I guess. I'm not necessarily surprised that Division 1 is able to keep it so close up to each other, but there's been just some phenomenal scenes so far this race. And I kind of want to start talking a little bit about Team Championship and where drivers are. This is Jeremy Mercer on board right now, who's trying to put TYR Sim Racing up to the top of the team standings at the end of the season here. This looks like it's going to be a good run against Nate Speck, the number 3 car. Slightly lackluster exit there from turn 11 all the way down in towards the 90. Braking at the 200 board, but he just doesn't have the overlap.
Behind.
Wow.
Danny Durant.
I see.
Timothy Blinder. Digging it out. But yeah, there's like so many battles, like so many. Oh, that was Guzman. P25. Oh, I didn't quite catch that, but just somehow lost it after turn 11. And
I'll take that back from Mr. Sir's cam. Selena, if you want to take a look at this one, this is a replay. Mr. Sir trying to go up the inside of Jeff Spangler on the bus stop chicane on the brakes. That would be the bravest move I've ever seen, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But he did think better of it. Back to live images now, and who's that? Eric Marecki dipping into the pit lane. Did have that spin after being touched by Mr. Sir on the inside early on in Sector 3. Brooker Quigg is going to have a bit of a lookout on the outside of the toe. We've seen some errors happen here earlier on. Side by side they go, and it looks like it's going to be some quality racing there. The Audi twitchy on the power, but he keeps it under control, but not in front of Colin Dunham.
Yeah, this is looking to be quite spicy. Oh, Brooker actually taking the inside.
Oh my God!
No! Oh! Mayhem for Andrew Wilson. The mayhem is not over. Things are still shaking up. 2x2 with Bailey Kish, Max Simmons, Landon Dravis, Dan Cran, nearly 2x2. Oh, and turn 10. Bailey Kish, Max Simmons, Bailey still keeping it on the inside. 2 Porsches in between a Lamborghini and a McLaren, and actually Dan Cran trying to get that top line speed on against Landon Draves, but Draves right on the inside, still able to keep it in front, but still stuck in between of Max Simmons trying to get that slipstream in there. But this is what I talked about earlier. If you're stuck in the S's, there's not really that much you can do as soon as you're turning in the mid S's, but all things are getting so close here.
There's too much to go back and look at. I saw Jeremy Mercer overtook Nate Speck a little bit ago. I couldn't watch that because we were busy watching the turn 1 action. I was able to hop on with Mr. Sir as he overtook Jeff Spangler. Dan Cran losing a position to Landon Dreves. I wish that I could go back and like replay each one of these overtakes individually, but it looks like it might even be a return move here from Dan Cran. I think he was thinking about swapping over to the inside line, but he sticks it around the out, and it won't quite work out there against Landon Dreves. There's just too much going on.
Yeah, there is.
In this race.
Welcome to Watkins Glen, and it's honestly, overall, it is a track that is kind of, it's not the most difficult to overtake, but I mean, it essentially is, because these corners are pretty tight.
It definitely isn't easy.
It's really, like, you really have to depend on somebody to wash out wide, like, especially at the toe, because there are a lot of tight corners where people are trying to stay on that inside line, and there's not really much you can do if you are stuck behind someone, unless they make a mistake, which we have seen already. But you can be really close, and we've already seen that too. And it gets really intense at this track.
Let's see here. I've just seen, I think we might be having a couple of, I think, client-side issues for me in terms of the server, because I'm noticing my ACC race control is jumping around a little bit with some of the deltas. But I don't think it's causing the drivers on track any issues. This is Landon Dreves trying to defend from Dan Cran. This feels like it's a losing battle at this point as the McLaren tries to take the outside line, leading in towards the braking zone for the bus stop chicane, just past the Marshall post, and maybe it's a little bit shallow there from Dan Cran on the brakes, and they will almost get the move done out of the exit into the outer loop. How in the world did Cran? I looked away. I thought it was over, and then as soon as I looked back, the 16 was ahead.
Wow, I just looked at it too, and I'm like, that is, well, he got through. He was waiting for that moment, and he just said, I'm going to send it. Very clean, very clean.
Very clean. We'll check back in now. So as most of the gaps have increased, and of course, as I say that, here's Colin Dunham in the heel trying to get past Patrick Rust. Brooker Quigg, their teammate, is immediately behind, maybe trying to develop some space here for Quigg as they're going to nip up the inside now. Looking in towards turn 10 and turn 11. This could very easily be an opportunity for the number 8 Audi, but it looks like Quigg will have to concede the position for now. I want things to calm down so we can talk about the potential standings for the team championship come the end of this race, but the delta is, as soon as I see an opportunity, a break in the action, something new develops.
Oh yeah, this is the Glen where the bowling never stops. And it has proved time and time again that this is the track for so much action, and even in real life, like, it's just, there's so much action. And actually, speaking of action, Colin Dunham trying to get all that toe on after the S's onto the back straight, trying to figure out a way past Patrick Rust, but will he get it? Outbreak him. Oh, 2x2 side by side, and he just slips up in front and makes it against the two teammate Audis. Wonderful move, very clean. And now it's just teammate on teammate action with Patrick Rust and Brooker Quigg.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're on a team strategy call, but
I think one way or the other, you know, Patrick Rust at that point understands that, you know, it's probably going to be a conceded position, no matter. Quigg just has that overspeed, you know, and you're not going to be able to get the traction down through the outer loop. Once you have that extra speed, you can't really compete if you're slower. Right, if the car on the outside has that extra speed and you try to put down a little bit of power, all you're going to get is some power oversteer, and that's never going to end well.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
So, now that this is our closest gap right now, I'm looking down the order, though, as Bailey, Kitchen Guy, Van Person are about to go at it, seemingly. So Lamborghini's probably going to be a little bit more life through these last couple of corners than the BMW. So keep an eye on this one. Timothy Flanger also closing up behind Nate Speck. It's the power differential between the Aston and the McLaren. We start out just having to think about the pit strategy here, Selena, because there's a very real potential that someone could make an undercut on a car in front. As Flanger, I'm sure, would love to find a little bit of clean air being stuck up behind the number 3 McLaren of Nate Speck, but it might not be for long based on what this run looks like.
Yeah, this is... honestly, if I were Flanger, just throwing out there in general, I'd be like sitting in the middle between two cars in a battle. Nate doing a 145.8 on his previous lap. Flanger doing a 145. Oh wait, 145.8 and a 145.8. So I'd say he's definitely getting held up, and I would definitely pit around this lap and around this time, because at this track, mentioning from earlier, it's not particularly an easy track to overtake on. So an undercut would essentially be quite strong at this track, because there are still cars bunched up together, and I think an undercut would definitely be strong here for sure.
Hold the phone. Dan Cran just lost the position to Landon Drevis. That didn't look like a gap that was on my radar at all. I wonder if he's had another moment. We'll take it back. 15 seconds, and it's a deep moment at the heel. Dan Cran must have missed his braking zone and is going to lose position to Landon Drevis. But other than that, a fairly uneventful moment there for the number 16 car. Running down in P20 right about now, out of 21 cars on track. One story we've been tracking is Brooker Quigg up against Colin Dunham. Travis Nordstrom, oh, that's the inside of turn 2 into the S's here for the number 8 Audi. And what a run it was from Brooker Quigg. It's going to be a drag race now down towards the bus stop chicane. A little bit of slipstream help here for Colin Dunham, but I don't feel like it's going to be enough. And what a move that was.
Yeah, I didn't even see that move, but hey, I mean, it got done. That's a very solid move, but Colin Dunham is just not going to give that up, and he is going to try everything in that McLaren and give it all it has for this finale. And 2, 3, 4. So he is sitting P4 in the silver class. So this is essentially for a podium for the silver class. So that, well, I guess will be good for the silver class championship.
This has just been a phenomenal show so far. We're not even a third of the way into the race. We're about to tick over to that benchmark soon. And guess what? There's more action on the way. I've been watching this delta from Travis Nordstrom to the car in front. That's P2. That's Mia Rose for the championship. Right now, she's trying to just live her best life, as they say, and drive away. Yep. But oh, hang on, who's that in the background? If I take the wing cam here from Travis Nordstrom, oh, that's Championship P2. That's Mr. Sir, who's clawed his way back up from being demoted in his 6th position after being touched up the inside from the Honda NSX GT3 Evo at turn 1. And I would not be surprised if Nordstrom ends up conceding that position intentionally in order to try to downgrade that penalty. I mean, I can only assume that he knows that turn 1 incident was a little bit cheeky. And speaking of, he had a little bit of a nice Tokyo drift there for the bus stop chicane, at least what it looked like. I mean, that NSX is not very happy on the curbings, I might add, but Travis Nordstrom just takes it in stride. We've been talking about how alien this man is all season long. To be on the podium at all right now for Nordstrom in the NSX is just insane, and he's catching up to Mia Rose.
And actually, speaking of him and Mia Rose, last week, there was an insane battle between him, Mia Rose, and Michael Menning, and Travis Nordstrom fended off both of them for quite a long time. So that was quite the cheeky battle going on there. So this is no new news for Travis Nordstrom catching up to Mia Rose. So this guy has serious pace in that Honda.
Well, something I might add, you talk about Travis fending off Mia Rose and Michael Menning. A critical addendum I would make, as Mia Rose looks like she is inside the pit entry line, and that she will be into the pits with 40 minutes to go. That is quite an aggressive pit strategy call.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I would agree with that. The McLaren does have, in my humble onion, the McLaren does have a little bit of extra tire wear near the front, as I believe we also see Bailey Kish drop out into the pits. So with a little bit of extra tire wear in the front, yes, okay, it might give you a little bit of benefit to pit early and see if you can get that understeer over and done with for the big undercut. But similarly, your tires are going to be dead at the end of the race, and especially with a track that's very punishing on the rears, especially in late Sector 2 and Sector 3, Selena. I just don't know if that's the right play call.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, as I've said earlier, looking at Timothy Flamger, like talking about earlier about pitting early, but like I think it's more, like really situational, and I definitely agree. Like it is also too early too, because I know in the Porsche the tire deg is really iffy around here, but like for me personally in the Porsche, I'd say that is definitely early, like a little too early to be pitting right now. But I mean, if an undercut works depending on your strategy. But if you are held up by a slower car up in front, what you can do there? Not much you can do. So it's quite dicey in terms of strategy if you're stuck behind somebody, or if you're dealing with a bunch of tire wear. So that's gonna be quite the fiasco.
So something I wanted to touch on, I was just going to mention, we watched the top 3 round of the final corner, and none of them went to cover off the undercut from Mia Rose. However, Jeff Spangler and Omar Escorcia in P4 and P5 prior to entering the pits, they both do come into the box at the end of this lap. So that's going to be a big shakeup, because now if we get the undercut from Mia Rose, from Jeff Spangler and Omar Escorcia, this could have big implications if they have quality outlaps, if they have some good pace on the fresh rubber for the couple of laps, presumably, that Mr. Sir and Travis Nordstrom stay out. then the standings could shake up in a relatively significant way. Somebody did put in the chat, imagine Mia Rose gets a stop go 30. That would be devastating. That would surely change the story. And I think Michael Menning might think about trying to concede that position to Mr. Sir. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. I'm not sure if we'll ever get there, quite frankly, but Michael Menning does have a 9-second gap to Travis Nordstrom, who was only about a second behind Mia Rose at the time that she entered the box. So he's probably fairly comfortable. Has the best lap of the race right now. Purple lap at a 143.74, which is 3/10 faster than what anybody else has been able to do in ultimate pace at all. So Michael Menning looking pretty solid.
Yep. And he's Michael Menning, so
and he's Michael Menning.
whatever track he does, he's fast on.
Take a look here. Mia Rose has a gap of 7.6 seconds to Omar Escorcia, who appears to have overtaken Jeff Spangler in the pits or shortly thereafter. I am unable to say for certain, but the fact of the matter is that number 9 McLaren tails against the Ferrari 296 GT3 in front. Those are the facts, as I understand them, and my understanding should be fairly accurate considering I literally have the timing sheet up on my other screen.
Oh, Guy Manperson opts to pit.
Colin Dunham too.
Currently, P14. Colin Dunham in 14. Looks of it. Going for the undercut on the drivers up at front.
Okay.
Not many gaps, or there's quite a bit of gaps actually, except for
the pit
delays.
strategy has really changed the shape of this race, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, the closest is like Timothy Flanger, Danny Durant, and Velez, and Brooker Quigg a little bit behind them by over a second. But yeah, there's not much. Just seeing after the pit strategy call, there's not much now.
Hold the phone. Travis, excuse me, that's Jose Guzman who just had a wide moment there. I believe this is a non-battle. Excuse me. Okay. I was thinking for a second that was Travis Nordstrom in front of Nate Spector. I was like, oh my goodness! Suddenly, where did this even come from? I thought Nordstrom stayed out of the pits, and he did. That was a non-action event. Here's Nordstrom on screen now.
Oh, actually, here's a fight now. Guy Manperson just slots it right in front of Landon Draves, but obviously not. He doesn't have that speed because Guy came out of the pits, so there's not as much speed going out of there as opposed to like getting it all the way from turn 1. So, quite the aggressive curb entry by Landon Draves, but he slots in front. So currently P22, 1.6 seconds behind Colin Dunham, who has also pitted. Eric Marecki also in front behind Guzman, who has yet to pit still.
Got 3 more in the box. It's the 114 McLaren of Peter O'Brien, Jeremy Mercer, and Timothy Flanger. We're all in the box at present.
Yeah, now that the drivers coming out of the pits, now there's like some battles like literally right there.
That's Jose Guzman allowing Marecki to go by as they did with Nate Specht earlier on, understanding that it is not their fight. And starting to look here at some of the drivers going by the pit lane right now. Jeff Spangler and Omar Escorcia indeed do make their way past Peter O'Brien, Jeremy Mercer, and Timothy Flanger as they cross the pit exit line. Flanger a little bit later than the other two. But taking a look over to the left side of your screen right about now, you should see that update in a moment's time, and you'll get an idea of whereabouts our leaders and trailers for those who have taken their pit stops are sitting, roughly speaking. Jeff Spangler and Peter O'Brien fighting directly for championship points for the team standings, and as it stands, Peter O'Brien, Jeremy Mercer lead against Mia Rose and Jeff Spangler and trail in the race. So that's an interesting one for the championship. Here you go, Jason Allen and Bailey Kitch fighting for P last right now, but it's impossible to say where exactly they sit in the standings at present in terms of provisional position. Travis Nordstrom is into the pits alongside Luis Daniel Velez and Brooker Quigg.
See, Michael Menning is right behind Jason Allen. So at this point, Michael would definitely be losing quite a bit of time stuck behind a blue flag car, but that shouldn't be quite an issue considering his pace.
This begs the question though, Jason Allen is on fresh tires, having just come out of the pit lane. Surely he's going to concede though. So Menning does motion for the move, and as we know, you're not allowed to defend, but Jason Allen is racing him nonetheless. What is this?
Interesting.
Jason
Does he
Allen,
know he's on camera right now?
He's not
Wait a
defending.
minute.
Surely he's
there-
not defending, but he's fucking Jason Allen gets thrown into the wall by Michael Menning.
Oh no, paid the price. Oh no.
I guess, you know, you play with fire, you got burned, I suppose. So there it is.
I mean, what was just casually kind of half defending at the heel, I mean, and then just bonk right into the wall. Just Michael just goes through like, no.
You know what? I'm tired. I'm tired of playing with you, is what he said. You know, Jason Allen, great admin, but I'm not here for it. I'm not here to fight P25 Max Simon's taking a bit of a trip there into the barrier. Nothing severe by the look of it, but just maybe a bit of understeer or snap oversteer on the exit there of turn number 9. Danny Durant is going to pull off into the pit entry. A very dangerous pit entry, I might add. It's fortunate that we have not had any major incidents there. It's almost as if somebody, Jason Allen, in the driver's briefing might have made mention for the pit entry lines. This is Bailey Kitch immediately up behind Austin Carpenter as more drivers are arriving in their pit boxes. Andrew Wilson and Patrick Rust are in for their stop right about now. This is Bailey Kitch, as I mentioned, behind Austin Carpenter, and blue flag traffic. Michael Menning, surprise, he's right there behind.
Yeah, the gaps are starting to squeeze down now. Brooker Quigg, Colin Dunham. Oh, look at this. These two, again, they were battling it out early on, and now they've pitted. Now they're back into a second round of another battle, but Peter O'Brien is not in the fight this time. And actually, he is... Oh, wait, no. Patrick Russ. Excuse me there. But he's just getting out of the pit, so he will not be in their fight. But yeah, Colin Dunham and Brooker Quigg at it again in a battle with Landon Dravies actually behind them. So to no surprise there. Trying to wait for an opportunity if somebody cracks. Which actually, Colin Dunham trying to get that toe in there. No gap into the outer loop.
A lot of action going to the bus stop this lap, but it looks like none of it really culminates in overtake. Mr. Sir and Michael Menning both entering the pit lane now, and I see their positions just swapped around. I think that's because Mr. Sir just has a box that's further up the lane, and indeed you can see Michael way in the back there off the wing cam. So nothing doing on that one. But now we just wait and see where they come out at present. Take a look here. Max Simons also into the pit lane. Definitely worth noting right there. Max, we didn't forget you.
Definitely not. And that lovely Porsche. If I may add.
You may. Mr. Sir crossing the pit exit line right now, and it looks like he's going to lose out actually quite a few positions here on the pit strategy as Jeff Spangler comes around the final bend before the pit exit line. And it looks like Mr. Sir will stay ahead of Spangler, but loses out to S. Garcia and predictably Travis Nordstrom. as he was behind beforehand anyway, but that's a fair gap up the way. You can see that's Travis Nordstrom just going through the bus stop chicane there, and Mr. only just arriving at the braking zone a moment ago. So there's a lot of ground to make up here to try to catch championship rival Mia Rose, and then of course she needs to have a in order to allow Mr. Sir a chance to take the win in the championship no matter.
Oh, little very close moment there between Eric Marecki and Timothy Flamger. The two Aston Martins. Nothing too much. I know before everybody pitted, it was like there was just so much action, but like now that everyone's pitted, like I'd say decently snuggled into their positions, but not quite so with Booker Quigg, Colin Dunham, and Landon Draves. Actually a little bit closer than he was the previous lap. So just checking. Yeah, nothing really much has changed between those three as of yet, though.
Guy Manperson is just behind that train and has done a personal best on his last lap. Guy Manperson, who I don't necessarily remember all of the pit strategies off the top of my head. This is Timothy Flamger actually with a run against Eric Marecki down the main straight in towards the 90. Late on the brakes, and it looks like he might have the move done here. Marecki concedes a fair bit of space there on the inside. I think he was actually looking for a switchback, but just didn't quite commit for it.
Nonetheless, that was a solid overtake. It was in the making.
Of course, well done there for Flamger. I guess better safe than sorry, too, if you're Marecki. I mean, you're in 11th place right now with 26 minutes to go, and your tires actually are fairly worn in comparison to everybody else. Well, I check a stint timer, 24 minutes, which is by far the longest anybody has run on their tires so far this race in the second stint. And of course, that's going to remain that way. So with a 2-second gap behind, Marecki is probably looking in that direction over the wing as opposed to in front towards Flamger, who just got that move done and has already developed a fair gap.
No, I was just going to say Guzman's right on the back end of Peter O'Brien, but Guzman's actually, he is a blue flag.
Yeah, not, Jose Guzman not on the lead lap. I believe started from the pit lane. Not exactly sure what's gone on there. Holy, 143.195, the new best race lap set by Michael Menning on his last tour of the circuit, which only culminated, I guess terminated, I should say, roughly 19 seconds ago. Bailey Kish actually ran that a little bit wide. That's an invalidation. I'm not sure if that will count as a track cut. But Mia Rose, I don't necessarily think is feeling too confident about her odds of taking the lead of this race. Dan Cranders got past Danny Durance a moment ago. I don't know exactly how that one panned out. It wasn't a delta that was on my radar. There might still be a battle for it, though. Dan Cran.
Not over yet. Oh, a little bit of a shaky moment with the wall, and that gives Danny Durance the position back for the time being. But Andrew Wilson is not going to take it lightly. Tries to go up on the inside, but Dan Cran just has enough speed to get it done, keeping it in front of Andrew Wilson.
Let me see if I can get this back as well for Dan Cran.
Yeah.
No, I can't quite. But we see a little bit of that move there. Okay, so that was Dan Cran getting past Danny Durance right there. A little bit of a moment on the exit for the Mercedes, and then Dan Cran, I think the replay is going to terminate just a little bit too early here. Maybe a wiggle on entry there for the 16. And now we're back to live images here for Cran. Was indeed officially conceded that position there to Durance. I bet Andrew Wilson's not too satisfied with the outcome of that whole exchange, considering the opportunity presented at turn 1.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Danny Durance is now a whole second, growing a little bit, 1.2 seconds now, ahead of Dan Cran and Andrew Wilson. But Andrew Wilson, he's still trying to commit to overtaking Dan Cran, as you can see, like just trying to find a gap to overtake, but it's just not working well for him. You gotta really be so close and just hope that there's an opening for the gap.
I'm on board right now with Mr. Sir with the lift off through the S's behind the 822 of Omar Escorcia. They're getting close indeed in towards the braking zone for the bus stop. Mr. Sir is going to try it on the outside line onto the entry, and it works wonders. What a move from Mr. Sir. Not the first time that we've seen him go aggressive there. Well done.
Brilliant overtake there. And actually, Jeff Spangler just hanging on for the ride, just watching that, grabbing popcorn, and now just waiting for a potential opportunity to take away a position from Escorcia.
Trevor's just gone wide. I'm going to hop on board with Andrew Wilson and Dan Cran, who had a bit of a close delta there through the bus stop, but it looks like that won't culminate in anything. Let's see what happened to Landon Drebus there. That looks like it was just a wide moment. Maybe getting the inside of the second curb on the exit of the bus stop chicane. Not the first time that we've seen that this race. I think not even the first time for Landon Drebus. So another position lost. Not what you love to see, unfortunately. Omar Escorcia is still kind of sticking onto the back here at Mr. Star. I wonder if that toe is doing a little bit of work for them, but the Mustang is a notoriously strong car on circuits like these ones where it's important to have top-end speed. But the Mustang, the problem with the Mustang is that you can achieve those top-end speeds while still running max swing just because it has so much power.
Jeez. Yeah, tomorrow's gonna be quite intimidating, that's for sure, against the Mustangs. Just thinking about it, because man, it just flies. And even looking at the Hot Lap leaderboards from all the practice sessions, like the Mustang has been dominant there.
Yeah, and let me emphasize, to make my point there, Omar Escorcia, the gap to Mr. Sir at the beginning of the pit straight was 0.5 seconds. At the end of the S's, the braking zone of the bus stop, the gap was 1 second. And I don't know about you, Selena, but I'd care to think that a Division I driver isn't going to lose half of a second worth of time to another Division I driver who they've been racing practically the entire time. You know? That just doesn't necessarily happen. So, Mr. Sir, as much as I want to believe that you're just that good of a driver, which really he is, let's be quite honest, but Omar Escorcia has been making some waves in Division I this season. And that is not the kind of gap that I think would develop very simply in Sector 1, which is basically just one turn and then a flat out section the rest of the way.
Yeah, because that gap from a second, it went down, it's going down a little bit. 8/10ths behind now with Omar Escorcia trying to catch up, make as much time as he can against that big Mustang.
Yeah, let's keep on track here. So let's watch into the braking zone here. Brakes at the 200 board, pretty nominal. Power down, looks decent. Could it have been better? Yes. So the gap 1 second right now. Out of the traction zone, Jeff Spangler immediately behind, 7/10ths behind. Increase to 1.1 just now.
Oh.
Gap to Mr. Sir, 1.2 just now. Jeff Spangler only has gained 1/10 against Omar Escorcia. 1.3 now the gap to Mr. Sir in front. 1.4 into the braking zone. So Omar Escorcia losing out in the straight by almost 4/10ths to Mr. Sir.
That's crazy. Like, just on the straight alone, Jeff Spangler isn't that too far behind. Oh, now getting 3 to 2/10ths. Fluctuating a little bit. Trying to gain as much as he can through the toe, sticking it nice and tight. Hoping to not lose any exit time. Now into the heel. Well, it looks like that's a little bit of, like, just about a 10th there early on. But he's still within a second. So, I mean, the last previous lap, just a few tenths away from each other. 144.2 from Escorcia and a 144.6. So, pretty close. Not many changes. But,
Indeed.
hey, anything
It's for a
can
top
happen
5 spot.
between these two. Yeah, anything can happen.
And Spangler, as we were talking about prior to the race starting, and we're still keeping track of, Spangler is very much invested in gaining as many positions as they possibly can, because you have Mr. Sir and Michael Menning trailing you in the team standings, but currently with the race lead in P4 right now, if you can take P2 and P5, I don't know how the points are going to shake out, but I believe they might just about have it. Velez, you can see, is doing everything they can to hold on to the back of Eric Marecki here, all the way into going wide at turn 1, which is a challenge to do here at Watkins Glen. Well, I guess I should say it's a challenge to do, but it's also very easy, if we can put it in a confusing way, because you're trying to maximize, of course, as much as you possibly can, but when they're lenient on track limits and they give you all of the curb to work with, then you might as well just have like a tiny little strip of curb on the very edge of the big curb, because that's where everybody's going to go out to anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're going to be out in the track limits.
Yeah, and then there's the track limits, like turn 10, for example. That is where the track limits mainly happen, not so much anywhere else, unless you completely, entirely send it on the exit of the bus stop and just miss that final curb, which has happened quite a lot, and I know I've done that, missing that whole edge of that, but actually, Velez getting a little bit, close there to the rear fender of Eric Marecki.
He wants it. Colin Donovan is getting involved in this now too. Marecki is very clearly feeling the pressure here. This is a gap that we were talking about. Marecki got overtaken by Flanger. Feels like 5 roughly minutes ago, perhaps. And the gap has since grown to 5.4 seconds. And now we can see that tire differential coming in clutch here for Velez, who's having a sniff up the inside. But the defensive line from Marecki will keep the Ferrari at bay, presently speaking. And for Marecki, oh, this is not good. Velez up the inside.
Better exit right there, and now going side by side into the S's, but Eric Marecki still has the inside, but it'll revert. Oh, yep. Just slotted right in, right at that corner, into that curve into the S's. But Colin Dunham, just like, I don't know if that looked like a little touch for a second, but I don't think it was. But he is insanely close to Velez, but oh, that was very close there in Sector 1 and in Sector 1, but not so on Sector 2. They spread out a little bit, but
okay, all right. That looked like a little bit of oversteering for Marecki. They're just using the power oversteer to get him onto the racing line. Yeah, hop over to the left-hand side of the track and make that happen. But I do feel like it's going to have to be a move in the late stages of the layout. Burger Quig is starting to form up to the back of this train now too. Marecki is becoming a conductor very quickly here. With 15 minutes to go, I don't think he's going to be able to defend this forever. Those tires are definitely a lot more worn than the competitors behind, but if you can hold them off for long enough, that tire delta might start to dissipate just enough for you to keep them at bay. I mean, we see the straight line difference with the V8 Advantage being out in front. And when you're talking about 11th place here for Marecki, it's definitely good points-paying positions. I think the bigger story, though, is the fact that you have the entire silver podium immediately behind you. That's Velez, the 379 for P1 for the Silvers right now, followed by Colin Dunham, P2 for the Silvers, and Burger Quig, P3. And if this continues for much longer, Dreves is only about 4 seconds down the field.
He's not that far. And actually, who else is not that far? Guy Manperson. He is 1 second behind Dreves, and he is doing, well, he did previously on his previous lap a 144.9, which Dreves did a 144.9. And I should elaborate, that is a 9.900. Guy Manperson 0.947, so very close in those previous lap times, but I will not be surprised if Guy gets any closer to Dreves, because he has pace. I mean, his qualifying was a little on the low end, but that does not mean that it's gonna go down even worse because there's pace. There's got to be pace right there for Guy Manperson, and he's lost there, but there's 13 minutes left in the race, and the train up ahead still. Oh, actually, speaking of that, Eric Marecki still holding off Velez, Colin Dunham, and Burger Quigg. So I don't know how. I don't know when this train is gonna get bigger, actually, because it's only a matter of time before Drabies actually catches up. So it's gonna be very interesting to see Guy Manperson also take a swing on that train. Max Jones as well.
Talk about maximizing the track. Colin Dunham, I think. Even if we have a bit of leniency on track limits, I think we can all agree that that one was a little bit over the line there.
Yeah.
But Dunham, I think the big problem right now for Velez is you can focus on the attack all you want, but if you make some unsuccessful overtaking maneuvers, you're going to end up with the problem of Dunham sniffing up the rear wing here, and it looks an awful lot like that's exactly the position they're in now. But then again, for Dunham, you have Brooker Quigg immediately behind you, who's looking to make a move. I've just seen Danny Durance and Bailey Kitcher going in. I'm going to hop onto that one. Oh, Danny Durance! That's a huge wipeout for the Mercedes through the bus stop chicane. Looks like they tried their hand at a bit of side-by-side, and it did not go well for them.
That is heartbreaking.
Take a look back at this one in the replay. I've got a fair bit of time here. Durant's up on the outside here of that is Bailey Kish in towards the braking zone. And it looks like, oh, just the tiniest bit of contact and has to slam on the brakes and is able to avoid hitting Kish. And that's the end of that story. But huge wipeout.
Ouch.
I'm keeping an eye on the gap between Nordstrom and Rose right now that has been coming down as it did in the first stint. But now Dan Cran and Kish having a little bit of a close moment. So just to kind of check in, Michael Menning continues to throw down heaters. 143.7 on the last lap in comparison to Mia Rose, who did a 144.4, but Rose, who was slower than Travis Nordstrom by 0.3 on the last lap. So that is the fight to watch out for.
Yeah, Michael Menning, 12 seconds ahead of Mia Rose, so he's sitting comfortably, definitely comfortably up in P1 at the moment, and Travis Nordstrom trying everything that he can to catch up to Mia Rose.
Oh, that's not going to end well. Burger Quigg, huge contact, just avoids the barrier. That's Velez, who's completely annihilated. Quigg tried up the inside of the bus stop, and that was never going to work. And Velez, I think that's a race ender. RTGs. And that's it. The 379, who was the silver leader in this race, completely destroyed in the braking zone for the bus stop chicane.
And Velez, while he was at it, on my screen, he took out the Pirelli signboard, so there was a little, I guess, advertisement there for saying, oh, crash, but here we go, Pirelli.
Yeah, that is race over for the Ferrari.
You hate to see it.
And Quigg,
just the battle was going well.
Quigg, you know, I think, yes, you are in the silver lead now, but I can only imagine that you have got a fair penalty coming your way, sir. So Colin Dunham most likely looking at the silver lead overall right now. Lennon Dreves, who I believe had a moment of his own earlier on that might be penalty worthy. So more or less an open and shut case now for Dunham with less than 10 minutes to go in the race. And speaking of less than 10 minutes to go, that's Travis Nordstrom eyeing down the McLaren of Mia Rose in front. Travis Nordstrom, who was almost 7/10 faster than Rose on the last lap.
Oh. Let's go bowling at the Glen. What can we say? Actually, Andrew Wilson, Dan Cran, and Billy Karras still going at it. I don't, from the last time I looked at those three, I don't think anything changed, but will it? Dan Crane getting that toe? No, just not. He has to be really careful because Andrew Wilson is right behind him, and if Dan Crane makes a mistake, then that's the position for Andrew Wilson. So he's got to think about attacking and defending at the same time, but he can't push too much, or else it's gonna risk P20. And actually, even for the silver class, because Danny Durant's, oh no, not Danny Durant's. No, actually, whoops, gold. No, Dan Crane isn't gold, but P20 overall, which is still top 20.
Getting my cams all mixed up here for a second, but it does look like nothing is quite coming of that one. This is huge. Travis Nordstrom has closed up massively to the back of Mia Rose here. This almost looks like a no contest type of pace differential from Nordstrom to Rose. But there's only 8 minutes to go in this race, and Mia has everything to race for in terms of the team championship. You can see Nordstrom is really going after it, has to cut the second part of the bus stop chicane, and that's going to be a fair bit of time lost. And now everything's on the table. I was just saying how, oh, it looks like it's going to be an open and shut overtake there.
Everything's on the table. Dan Crane, oh, things are shaking up for P20. Bailey Kitch still trying to defend these two McLarens from the back, but at turn 11, things shook up quite quickly. Dan Crane still on the power to take as much as he can out of that McLaren, go into the S's, hoping to overtake, but Bailey Kitch taking the outside, and side by side, Andrew Wilson taking a little peek, hoping for something to go wrong between these two into the bus stop. Side by side, still making it clean. Dan Crane just right in the front, and that is a position for Dan Crane in P18. Oh, and now so Andrew Wilson and Bailey Kitch side by side into the chute, and that is a position gain for Bailey Kitch. Oh, that was spicy.
Well, more or less a position defended there for Kish.
Yeah.
But Dan Crane making their way through. Big overtake. That was tough. That was really tough racing. It's what you love to see, as one Alexa Marshall might say.
Yup. Pound is a pound.
Jeff Spangler really giving it everything that they've got to try to get past Omar Escorcia. Again, it's Michael Menning in the lead with Mr. Sir in 4th place right now, who are currently the highest points gainers. Actually, wait a minute. Colin Dunham just lost 3 positions. Am I getting this right? Hang on. This can't be correct, surely. This must be, I think, a race control issue. Yeah, I think he might have just blinked for a second on my internet, because he's definitely not lost control of his car or anything significant like that. But I want to hop back to talking about this one. This is the team standings. So Michael Menning in 1st, Mr. Sir in 4th. Currently the team that is pulling in the most points by far. Mia Rose in 2nd and Jeff Spangler in 6th, but that could be 5th if they play their cards right. And I believe Andrew Wilson's got past Bailey Kitch. Colin Dunham just lost a position to Landon Drebes as well. So I can't even get a word in edgeways trying to talk about everything here at the end of the race.
Yeah, things are starting to get really spicy at the final 5 minutes, and that is expected. But actually, Landon Drebes going wide on the entry, as I thought Colin Dunham would actually take that gap, but it's really close. Try to peek for the outside, but I don't think that's really going to work unless he gets a better run on entry, and Landon Drebes gets a slower entry on the inside of the toe, but that is not so. Colin Dunham still trying to look for that gap into the heel, but he's not quite in a position to get there. But just 0.1, 2/10 behind Landon Drebes, who is 1.2 seconds behind Brooker Quigg. So I think on the previous lap he was a little bit closer to Brooker Quigg, but that gap may have increased because of the battle that happened between these two. Or actually, Landon Drebes did that overtake early on at the bus stop against Colin Dunham, which was very successful.
So something I'm watching right now, I've been talking about it Team standings, team standings, team standings. I know that we're all really invested in that one. I actually am. But this is Peter O'Brien. Jeff Spangler has not had a smashing couple of laps like he would want. So he was thinking about P5 for a while, but now he might have to start thinking about P7 because Peter O'Brien is right up his diffuser. And this is big because if O'Brien is able to take a better points haul, then Spangler not only will he be directly demoting the competition, but promoting himself, and then could potentially try to hold up the traffic in order to allow Jeremy Mercer, his teammate, through. Bailey Case has just had a massive delta gain. Hang on a second. Let's take a look at this one. Pull over on the side of the... Wait, Kish? Kish lets Durance through, I think. Trying to make up for what he may believe was an incident earlier on through the bus stop that he, I guess, thought was his fault. So if that's the case, which I believe it is, that's good sportsmanship on Kish's part.
Nice. Love to see that.
Travis Nordstrom also 0.3 seconds behind Mia Rose again. So this is more developments.
Oh.
I think as it stands right now, Mr. Sir and Michael Menning are the ones to beat in the team standings, and I don't see that changing anytime soon, but by God, that doesn't mean that they can't be fighting for it, and Peter O'Brien is trying his best. Travis Nordstrom, if they get past Mia Rose, Peter O'Brien gets past Jeff Spangler, then everything is on the table for P2 in the team standings, and we still don't know if Mr. Sir might pick up a penalty and drop some places, or if Michael Menning, I don't think he'll pick up a penalty because he's been gone the entire race, but who knows? He could get a drive-through, and then everything's to play for. You can't give up now.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I mean, 2 minutes left. I mean, anything can still happen. You can get a warning at turn 10. So there is that. That is a possibility. But knowing D1, I mean, who knows? Who knows? Some probably could be on their third and final warning. Who knows? But as of right now, it looks like Michael Menning will actually be winning this final race of season 11.
You say actually, is that really a surprise? But speaking of track cuts, Mia did invalidate there on the exit of turn 8. That's the heel. And it begs the question, how many track cuts does Mia have? Because if indeed it is that Mia ends up getting a drive-through penalty, I don't think there's any chance that Mr. Sir can win this race at this point. I don't want to count him out, but Michael Menning's lead is quite significant, and Travis Nordstrom, as you can see, is right up behind the 956. It almost looks like it's no contest, but we're on what could very well be the last lap of the race. I don't believe it will be. I believe there's one more to go, but Travis Nordstrom wants P2 by any means necessary here.
Oh, he's trying. He's giving it his all, and he was just so close to the back of Mia Rose's diffuser of that McLaren, and just 4/10 behind now in sector 2 going to the chute. He's close. He is close, and if he can get it in the bag on Mia Rose, that's going to be quite something. But I mean, last week with his performance against Mia Rose and Michael Menning, pretty big.
This is another one I'm watching again. Peter O'Brien 3/10 behind Jeff Spangler. There's more gaps that are small down the field. This is all the way from P18. This is Andrew Wilson and Dan Cran, which at this point, it's very difficult to say who's going to be on the podium for the Silvers after penalties are administered, because there's been a fair few incidents, and the final lap has just begun with Michael Menning cutting the beam. So Travis Nordstrom has exactly one more tour of the circuit to improve his position to the second place on the podium, and it's not a good run out of T-Last. He's got exactly 1 minute and 44 seconds roughly of race time to go. He has to beat this McLaren to the line.
Quite strong, I've noticed, in sector 1 being right at the back end of the McLaren, but right now he's 3/10 behind, not really gaining too much, but Green Delta he is, but I don't know if that's really gonna cut it. He's still got a ways away, and things are looking quite steady and not really shaking up. But this is the final lap. This is the final lap, and still, anything can happen, and that is going to be quite crucial for Mia.
All it takes is one mistake.
Yeah, exactly. All it takes is one mistake, and it's very crucial for her to keep him behind and defend that P2 overall position.
Max Simons has just been passed there by Guy Manperson. We'll move into turn one, but I don't want to take my eyes for too long off of the front couple of fights that we got going on here. Michael Menning is coming around the last corner right about now. It's been a phenomenal performance from the #1 car, and the team standings could surely use his contribution. He takes the fastest lap and pole position as he wiggles across the line to take P1. And Mia Rose, who... Oh! Travis Nordstrom! Am I believing what I'm seeing? He's out of fuel! Travis Nordstrom exhausts the last of his fuel reserves and returns to the garage. And Mr. Sir is going to be promoted onto the podium. Mia Rose, all pressure alleviated immediately. Timothy Flamger also running out of fuel on the final lap of the race. Wouldn't you believe it? Jeff Spangler is able to fend off Peter O'Brien. Oh my God.
Two drivers did not have enough fuel to make it to the end. Two! Oh! The stakes are high. And speaking of the stakes are high, Guy Manperson is still defending against Max Simmons in that Porsche. And making it into the last corner. By the looks of it, he has P14 secured. And I believe... that is P4 for the silver class.
What a race.
Wow. What a finish that was. That was one chaotic finish. With
Indeed. Timothy it was.
And Travis Nordstrom, just actually, let alone more crucial for Travis Nordstrom in P2, but loses it to the fuel, succumbs to the fuel being there no more. And that gives Mia Rose a solid P2 at Watkins Glen. Oh, wow.
Mia Rose P2 and secures the Drivers' Championship. The biggest of congratulations to the gal from Down Under as taken race wins this season and has been able to outperform every other driver on a consistent enough basis to stand at the top step at the end, but it was not without a fight. Mr. Sir, solid P3 here, and with an unfortunate incident on lap 1 and turn 1, which allowed Mia Rose through. It's impossible to say what could have changed if Mr. Sir had survived on the lap 1, but that's motor racing, folks.
Yep, that's racing. That's how it goes.
What a performance.
Oh.
Not much more to say, but the team standings is the big one. That's what I'm personally thinking about right now. I'm gonna try and get a screen capture of the final standings here on my overlay, but I don't think that I've been in time to quite catch it. So we'll see if the ACC SM is updated here very quickly. But if I'm looking at this correctly, Michael Menning P1, Mr. Sir P3, they trailed by 31 points to Macaroni and Steez, which is Jeremy Mercer and Peter O'Brien, and only by 1 point to We're a Barbie Team. I think that they have got that one locked down. Michael Menning with the maximum points haul of 112 points against Mia Rose 100, I think automatically puts them over the top as Mr. Sir is able to beat out Jeff Spangler like for like, and with a 7th and 8th place, or excuse me, a 6th and 7th place finish from Peter O'Brien and Jeremy Mercer, if my relative is correct, I don't think that's enough to compete. So I think just by the thinnest of margins, Madhouse x CM will be able to take the team championship. We'll wait for official confirmation on that one, but I'm fairly confident in my maths, at least on this occasion. And what a finish. What a finish. We had action of all varieties at every stage of the race.
The amount of battles we saw too, especially before everybody pitted, or at least the majority of them, it's like, oh, those first several laps, it was just non-stop battles everywhere. It's just crazy. And then the end, as per usual, everyone fighting it out till the very end is there's never a dull moment at Watkins Glen ever. Let's go bowling. Great
Oh
stuff
man.
there. What a track.
And normally, we don't necessarily have time to make it happen, but have to make an exception for this go around. We want to pull in the championship winner, Mia Rose. It was P2 here at Watkins Glen. Not necessarily the greatest way to cap it off, but it was a mighty defense against Travis Nordstrom, and you take the Drivers' Championship overall. How does it feel?
Oh, it feels good to finally get a fucking driver's title in this league. I was close to it I had a good start in season 8, and then my a lot of things took over, so I left halfway through that season. But it was finally good to actually do it all right and cap it off with, I think, one of my most consistent seasons I've had so far. So
Oh, that's awesome.
You mentioned your consistencies being a little bit of, I guess, I wouldn't necessarily say an issue, shall we say, but you seem to have pulled it together at the very least. And with Michael Menning being your main competition on the grid, you had an outstanding performance, day in and day out. But there have been a couple of sticklers in terms of races. At the start of the season, were you coming in confident that you'd be a contender for the title?
well, I knew that at Barcelona, it was gonna be my drop round no matter what, because it's a iffy track for me, and also I had stuff stuff outside of the race I thought would be affecting me coming in. But yeah, I was surprised to even do a qualifying lap in that in that first round, and then I had a feeling that would be quick through the entire season, and then yeah, getting a win at Imola, and then I think coming second the 2 races after that, I was like, okay, we've got a championship run going on here, and then yeah, never finished outside the top 5 for the rest of the season, which is amazing. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, talking about the different series that you participated in, of course, you have quite a bit of merit under your belt. But I mean, what specifically does the Division 1 championship mean to you? I mean, as I mentioned, there are strong drivers on this grid, and I won't claim that it's the premier league anywhere, because it isn't. But the Sim Racing Alliance, I think there's a fair bit of competition here. So what does it mean to you exactly?
I think it's good just to win a championship in a league outside of Australia. With there being a couple leagues in Australia, and I basically capped off a sprint series title there a couple months ago in OOR, and I thought I'd come here and be like, look, it'd be a good way to test myself, see if I'm still up to the standards of a really quick ACC driver, and I think after this season that sort of proved it. So
Well, I will say I, for one, am looking forward to the shoey. So I think being in Australia, you're contractually obligated.
So I leaked it in the fantasy chat, in the Discord. But it will be. I'm gonna coin it the thongy, which is
Oh man.
doing a shoey through a thong slash flip flop for the Americans who call it such a stupid name. Um, so yeah, get ready for that. What would be the end of August? I think would be the delivery reveal stream. So
Yeah, season 12, I guess, is kind of the point to look forward to for a lot of us. But that begs the question now. You got the Division 1 championship. Is it on to bigger and better things now?
or with ACC maybe. I know I do have. I did announce it in the Discord as well, but I am going to qualify for the Australian team for Motorsport Games in two and a bit weeks time in Melbourne. So
Ooh.
so if you are in the Discord, I'll be sharing links to that probably during the week beforehand. But after that, I don't know. I don't really have any other big plans for ACC. Probably I might move my focus to Le Mans Ultimate
Ooh.
between now and AC Evo coming out. But at the moment everything's up in the air. So
Well,
Yeah.
one thing's for sure, we look forward to seeing you come out in other outlets, and we hope for your success. But at the end of the season here, you took the championship. We want to give you a chance to shout out anybody or anything that may have helped you get to this point.
I think thanks to Jeff for being such an amazing teammate. I don't know if we've got the team's title, but I don't care if we have or haven't. He was a great teammate throughout the season. Queen's design for, I think, less about supporting me this season, more that being there all the time, and yeah, my beautiful partner Honor, and I think that's everything. So the season has been very great. I think helping that Manning had other duties to focus on this season got me the championship, but I don't really care. I was consistent enough. I got the most points in the season, and I can now wear the number 1 come season 12. So,
well, congratulations on your win. We'll send you on your way.
Yeah,
Make sure to celebrate accordingly. Celebrate responsibly at the very least. But
yes.
do celebrate for us. Thanks, Mia.
I will do. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks all the commentators as well. Before you let me go, thank you for your contribution this season, and also to all the other commentators that are happening tomorrow. Please enjoy your well-deserved break after this season, because I think we've got about a month until season 12 starts. So rest those voices up before then.
Yeah, well, you do make it easy for us, so it's very, very entertaining to watch. We hope to see you in season 12. I think suffice to say. So
yeah.
All right. Thanks again, Mia. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. It's absolutely amazing scenes, and Mia, you know, the special shout out to Jeff Spangler, I think, is deserved. You know, Spangler.
Yeah.
Although they weren't quite able, I think, again, this is provisionally, I am not 100% sure, but I don't quite think they were able to secure the team standings. But I do believe that even if they didn't, they at least came in P2, which is a respectable performance. I think the ACCM has been updated. So I'll check here, and it does look like Michael Manning and Mr. Sir were able to outperform by some points, although I am uncertain about drop races. So I'm seeing here on ACCSM, which I think does not account for drop races. If they are applied to the team series, the points total for Madhouse x CM Bullet x Eleanor is 1,129 points. For MHR We're a Barbie Team, 1,106 points. And for Macaroni and Steez, 1,104 points in the team standings. Again, I'm unsure about drop races, but that is already about as close as you could possibly ask for at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's... Oh, let me just say, what a season, though. Great finishes, great season. And this one is definitely one of the best ones. But I will say the Nordschleife is definitely the highlight of season 11, and I will always say that.
Well,
but Watkins Glen comes second. But,
let's hope for the sake of your sanity, we have the Nordschleife on the calendar next season, too.
Oh, I really hope so. Please.
No doubt. But, I don't know, Selena, that's a wrap for season 12. As you mentioned, I definitely think that many people will agree that the Division 1 battle will at least go down as one to remember for seasons to come. And, you know, I know everybody says that in the, we're on a broadcast, and we have to say that all the time, like the F1, you know, commentators do. And like every Grand Prix is the Grand Prix to go down in the history books. I feel like this one might actually legitimately be a race to go down in the history books, is one that could have come out any way for anybody.
Honestly, yeah, I agree, because again, like the Nordschleife has been added to ACC, and it was highly requested among many of us, not just SRA, but like.
How did you make that about the Nordschleife? Oh my!
But I mean, it is a first, though. Like hypothetically, it is a first in SRA, and like, yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. And for the organizers, season 12 on the horizon. Look, I died immediately. I died lap 1 on the Nordschleife. I am not fast at that track. I am not good at racing on that track. But I will be a little bit disappointed if we don't have it on the calendar. At least do an endurance race on it soon. But that's a story for another time. Season 12 on the horizon. If you want to participate or if you want to watch, join the Sim Racing Alliance Discord for all of the necessary links and information that you're going to need for that. But there's more racing to come yet tomorrow in Season 11. For the remainder of the divisions that were not on your screens tonight on the Twitch or the YouTube, or I think we have a third place that races happened, but I cannot quite recall. So Division 2 and Division 3, I know for a fact, are wrapping up tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, you can join the Discord for the necessary links and information that you will need to find those. But it's been a wonderful season. I'll speak for Alexa in saying goodbye. Selena, if you have any closing remarks, now is the time.
No. I think we pretty well summed it up really well there. Just amazing season, and it's been a fun season, and I can't wait for the next season.
Neither can I, but we want to give a special shout out to everybody who watches and makes the streams possible. None of this would make any difference without the viewers and without the community. Huge thank you to the stewards, to the admins for putting this on. I think it would be self-serving to say thank you to the commentators, but hell, we'll do it anyway. Thanks to the commentators for helping out on the broadcast. Season 12 of the Sim Racing Alliance, not too far away. We hope to see you there. It's been a phenomenal one, and I'm looking forward to another. So on behalf of all of us here on the commentary team, Alexa, Selena, this time I'll speak for you, and myself, we'll see you next season.